Dhamma Jumden the Shema Jashama Yandam Zobe Sanje Ribada Shon Dhamma Devaresh Jidin Jamba Jibun Dubel Kalo Juba Laname Tana Menamje Dhamma Sanje Jumden the Beja Shanya Tubala Sasen Rocha to Jesuch Dhamma Jumden the Shema Jashama Yandam Zobe Sanje Ribada Shon Dhamma Devaresh Jidin Jamba Jibun Dubel Kalo Juba Laname Tada Menamje Dhamma Sanje Jumden the Beja Shaja Tubala Sasen Rocha to Jesuch Dhamma Jumden the Shema Jashama Yandam Zobe Rivada Shazun Dhamma Devaresh Jidin Jamba Jibun Kalo Juba Laname Valhada Menamje Sanje Jumden the Beja Shaja Tubala Sasen Chedo Jazo Chewu, Kanze Kanye Zo, Jetamis, Sajen Dena Command, Manen Jeden Dena Churches, Tezeke Vajala Shan, Namda, Machoto Sosa, Ishe Jazo Seja Rumbonda, Chavan Jeden, Mumbo Choni Jana Cha, Senjo Demo Chimeta, Sendo Rawa Jana Cha, Selon the Region, Siva Sumat, Yame Jinjen Jana Cha, Mumbo Tuji 탐제 캠베 된바보 소나미 연대 자주 디신샤나 차서 답변 대사 처음 계획에 손대 제도 되는 소교 신규적으로 차서 전에 중요한 라바달라라도네 생겨다 보이는데 개념을 차서 디바신야 메자신 개와 본소소 랑게스네 테네 산제 때문에 까마라를 좀 마스 Melonloda, Jendaba, the Jation, the Terata, Sunday, Solomon Dia, Tomje, Sewa, Kovantum, the Junja, Gadan, the Shiva, Lobtrip, Sivia Sol, and
to the teacher, the blessed one, the one who being, the whole destroyed, the completely perfected, fully awakened, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, no, supreme guide of beings to be tamed. Teacher of gods and humans, to you completely glorious, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, secure from the Shakya clan, I prostrate my offerings and go forward. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one conquering, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, no other, supreme guide of beings to be tamed. Teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror. Subdue from the Shakya clan, I prostrate my offerings and go forward. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one Gumbian, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, no other word, supreme guide beings to be tamed. Teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror. Secure from the Shakya plane, I prostrate my offerings and go forward. When the supreme among humans you upon over spirit, you placed out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, all supremely pure, whose emotion like golden mountain, painted places in the 3 worlds, you know the best. To you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 words of love, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to darkness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, one path, sublime, pure reality. To the Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to the virtue, the holy few qualified, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. Star, mirage, flame of lamp, an illusion drug to a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through this merit, sentient beings attain the realm of all seeing. Subdue the poor clouds, but deliver the emotion of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Jono, Soje Jono, Chanju Pato, Tade, Again Jaso, Dora Penja, Sanje Jobrisho, Sanje Jono, Soje Jono, Chanju Pato, Tade, Again Jaso, Sonam J, and Dora Penja, Sanje Jobrisho, Sanje Jono, Soje Jono, Chanju Pato, Tade, Jaso, Again Jaso, Sonam J, and Dora Penja, Sanje Jobrisho, Sanje Jono, Soje Jono, Chanju Pato, Tade, Jaso, Again Jaso, Sonam. Dollar pension, Sanjin Drubarisho.
May both glorifications and enlightenment to the Buddha, the Lama Tsongkaphas. May the merit I create by practicing giving and giving. May I quickly attain the state of Buddha, for the benefit of all sentient beings. May both glorifications and enlightenment to the Buddha, the Lama Tsongkaphas. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and giving perfections.
May I quickly attain the state of Buddha, for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Lama Tsongkaphas. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and other perfections. May I quickly attain the state of Buddha, for the benefit of all sentient beings. Dedo Juma Shunjan Jidan Dama Soma, Tawa Kanyata, Mujata, Temba. Mao de Junja, Minju Jena Tasoma, Tawa Kanyata, Shimeta, Temba. David and Shunju, Chawa de Medo, Muzana, Tinya, Tinya Junior, Nanya, Tade Junior, one number, Mato, Children on the Bush. Yawalemba Mato Bentayo, Miniship, and Yawan, Taya, the Children on the river. Yawan Damanya, the Joe on the Juba, and Yawan number shit of Yawan number Yubri. Darling Yawan Lemba, the Shed, whatever you get a Shen and Lemon, the Sawyer, the Sundo Trip. Tadalena Shamanya, then Yelena Jema, Darling Yawan Lemon, Avanya, David to the Majuji Chawa. Munzana to conjure what the Shamanya, the Kitten, the change of the member, the Asian tended language. Tamashiva Javaja Shadan and the shows on the changes of the changes of the Telos, whatever. Majo and Juman, the Dilla Junda, on the Shabaju, the Juan, you mentioned. Tadaranda, Juan Damajo, Niga, Della Tawaka, Tata Teba. Maudi Jujan, Juan, Major Tawa, David, the Somaya Ketel had the mayor, not the Tawaj. Hanema, Jenny, the Tala, the Ketel had the mission, not the Dana and Bedai. Kedela Mission, the Juneteba Minjura, Kede Shojalan, and the Shoja Mele, the Tata Metaju. Terry Wamayana, Kedeta, Metamaniga Juba, Tabamaya Metam, Juba Juba, the Matra. Kedeka Jacana, Wajaka, Duzana, Tijoko, Tomema, Junat, Kedeta, Metam, Metaka. Tabatan Meda, the Nisa Wajuba, Kedenji, then Tayana, Jidem Parachet, Kedenji, then Tamana, Jidem Parachet. Kanji Kumbanam Jidin and Mamma doesn't want to tell yet on the Taman, Kedemama Jinjush. Pumba de la Dejan, the Pumba ten and Major Tenant, Tayaja, Kedemama Minchi, Pumba de la Dejan. Pumba ten and Major Tenant, Jidata Major, Kedu Soja Tayu, Soja Tani Major. Jinataya Tamaja, Ribama and the Chadabu, and Soja number J, Soja number Jimmy. Tata ten and Mirrors, the Chadabu, and Yellow, Soja number J, Soja number Jimmy, Tata Tayam. Kedeta Tame, Niga Juba, the Tayo Mania Tame Juba Juba. Yana, what I'm just a tonja, sort of Wakanda, Chilean, the Juba. Kangia to the Nezona Tawata Japan, the Vision that does about Kodam, the South of Tawata, Sheshapon, which you should bow. Kangia the engine and the Vajuan Gabame, Jimmy, Chavame, Tommy, Wome, Toddy to meet the Juba musician. Zobesanya Mananja Tamata, Charles. Yeah. Page, I think it's 71. Page 71. Yeah. 70. 70 in the commentary, the one finds the following statement. Maybe I'll just read from it. Just as one does not assert that Sharaka on the path of preparation has entered the first fruit of stream entry, so just as one does not assert Sharaka on the path of preparation has entered the first fruit of stream entry, similarly, even the greatest of the great stage that engage by means of imagination on the Bodhisattva's path of preparation, from where the first ground would immensely spring forth. This too is the ground where the Bodhisattva's awakening mind is not yet generated. So this commentary, so Bodhisattva Mahayana paths, the five paths for Mahayana, the path of accumulations, path of preparations, path of seeing, path of meditations, the path of no more learning, right? So this commentary is kind of like pointing out that path of accumulations, path of preparations, so the Bodhisattvas who hasn't generated, right, who haven't generated the awakening mind. So that means what you're referring to the awakening mind is the ultimate awakening mind, not talking about so Bodhisattvas on the path of accumulations, the path of preparations, have already generated the bodhicitta. Without the bodhicitta, there is no one is Bodhisattva, right? So, so ultimate awakening mind only kind of generate starting from the path of seeing, noble paths, Arya path. Right? So the Arya, Arya means noble being. In Tibetan we call Papa, right? Papa. So Tibetan sounds are similar. Papa means the Arya. Papa means pig. so make sure that you pronounce. So what the above the citation means is that this is a stage where the ultimate awakening mind has not yet been generated. So during the path of accumulations, path of preparations, this is called ordinary Bodhisattva's path, right? So it's not ordinary compared to ordinary people, but relatively, right, is ordinary Bodhisattva's paths. So it means Bodhisattvas who are not yet become the Arya. So path of accumulation, path of preparations. Generally speaking, however, as I explained above, it is accepted in this Madhyamika tradition that even from the stage of lower than this path of preparations, the mind of the unexcelled awakening has already been generated, and there are Bodhisattvas below this level. So that means, so whoever already on the path of accumulations or path of preparations, that means they have already generated bodhicitta, the awakening mind, or awakening mind. So this is a kind of, sometimes the language, the term, that kind of not really literally showing the meaning, awakening mind.
So in Tibetan, Changchu Sem. Changchup Sem. Right? Changchup is the enlightened. Right? So a state of enlightened Buddhahood. Sem means mind that is minding on enlightenment. Right? So mind that is aspired to attain the enlightened mind, enlightenment. Right? So that's it. So yeah, sometimes because this is not really awakening mind, that's not really showing the exact meaning, right? So in the bodhicitta, so bodhi is enlightenment, chit is the consciousness, right? Mind that aspiring to achieve or attain the Buddhahood is here awakening mind. So within the awakening mind, divided into two, awakening mind in general, and then particularly ultimate awakening mind. So it's kind of, why it's Arya beings direct realization emptiness, why it called ultimate awakening mind. So, so what is that awakening, the state of mind or awakening state is kind of the state of mind or the quality that is free from even the stain of afflictive emotions, right? So even the stain of afflictive emotions. So that is Buddha, that is enlightenment. And ordinary Bodhisattvas, they're aiming at setting up as goal to achieve through imaginations, right? Through aspirations. And then the Arya beings, the wisdom realizing emptiness, directly observing in emptiness, is not just imagining, they're kind of seeing, not exactly Buddhahood, but is in the quality that's going to become the Buddha. So that's why it's the ultimate awakening mind. Right? So this is different, like you have a desire to achieve the Buddhahood through the imaginations, and one that you are trying to see the real Buddha within your mind. So that's why this Aryas, the Arya beings, the noble wisdom is called noble, Bodhisattva's noble wisdom is called the ultimate awakening mind, not just aspiration. It is looking at it. Unexcelled and already generated, and there is a Bodhisattva below this level. Shantideva's compendium of their training too, established by means of numerous sutra citations. The presence of the awakening mind is awakening mind in ordinary beings. So the Shantidevas kind of also agree on generating bodhicitta is even in the path of illumination, path of preparations. So they have already generated awakening mind. So those who assert that such beings are not actual, such beings are not actual, but only mere facsimiles of the Bodhisattvas, are engaging in the false explanations. So that means path of Bodhisattvas on the path of accumulations, path of preparation are actual Bodhisattva. So they have generated the genuine awakening mind, right? So and then what does that mean from the commentary saying, that commentary means they are saying that the path of Bodhisattvas or the path of accumulation, the preparations haven't really generated the ultimate awakening mind, right? So here one might one contained the compendium of the Abhidhamma describe the stage of entry to the fruit of stream entry as the point when on the Shavaka path of preparations, a single sitting would lead to attainment of first fruition. So the analogy, right? You have cited above about the Shavaka path does not hold. So I think this is what we yesterday, last Sunday we already discussed it. They're trying to define the kind of exact the meaning of entry to the fruit of stream entries, or exact measurement. So when when it start the entering in the fruit of stream entry, is it from the path of accumulation or just from the path of preparations? Vasubandhu Treasury, Vasubandhu Treasury of Abhidhamma state that the stage of interest attained on the higher level, whereas the compendium of the Abhidhamma presented differently. As cited above, of those two divergent positions, this master Chandrakirti accord with treasurer of Abhidhamma. He also accord that what is described in the compendium of sutras follows compared to the summon offering. Yeah, these are, and then that's a different story. So the entry is always the entry of first Aya state of Bodhisattvas, and starting from starting from the path, starting from the first path of seeing, right? The first path of seeing. So compared to some of the offering in a daily basis, heavenly nourishment endowed with hundredfold flower? Huh? Flavor, okay. Hundredfold flavor. This is like, boiling point, flavor. Hundredfold flavor and heavenly garment, right? To trainees following by way of faith and numerous as the atom in the entire universe. A person of atoms, right? As the atoms in the entire universe. A person offering a single meal for a single day to a trainee, following by way of reality, generates incalculable, right? For far greater merit. Again, they compare to someone making similar offering to trainees following by way of reality as numerous as the followers of faith in the preceding example. Another person who offers a single meal for a single day to the person on this 8th stage generate incalculable and far great merit. Those who, these two type of training are clearly on the path of accumulations and the path of preparations, and not in the higher level. So this kind of, sometimes I don't know. Normally, this says the kind of, the cultivating the merit. So in ordinary level, the cultivations of the merit. For example, one who out of without any compassion, great compassion, without great compassions, someone did the offering to many people, like thousands, maybe 100,000 people. So, and their accumulations of merit, and the Bodhisattvas, who has the great compassion, out of their great compassion, when he offers one single person, so he will accumulate more merit than the person who is offering 100,000 people. So it's like showing the conditions. Is the accumulation of merit is not measured by the substance, how much you give. Right. So then, similarly, and again, offering the accumulation of merit by offering to the 100,000 people, and if you offer one single meal to Bodhisattvas, so that kind of, Bodhisattvas, offering to the Bodhisattvas is far greater merit than offering the 100,000 people. So I think this is kind of the implying that the generosity and accumulation of merit is not by what you can see, what you can measure, is due to the condition, right? So and then within the path of accumulation, maybe 100 kind of 100 path of accumulations, offering to 100 path of accumulations with the Bodhisattvas, and offering one single meal to the path of preparations is much greater merit. And then this is that the result, kind of the result of the actions, how fast and how greater is. So the Bodhisattvas or Hinayana Arhat. So when they just kind of reach the Arya path, right? When they just reach the Arya path, so for those instantly you happen to be kind of receiving teaching or kind of something that you can offer to them. So those result instantly the manifest, they said, or someone who's attained arhat, right? So so this is kind of and a non-virtuous action. Sometimes non-virtuous actions, the kind of non-virtuous action, the how bad that non-virtuous action is also determined by the motivation, right? Motivation, and also this can be non-virtuous actions can be determined by the object or your motivation or object, right? So if harmful action towards the stranger and same harmful action towards your mother, so that because of the mother, that makes your actions far worse than So because of the mother, right? So then kind of harmful, any single harmful actions towards the Bodhisattvas and Buddha. Sometimes the power of the object is the power of the motivations. So there's no power of the substance, right? So there's no power of the materials. So either the motivation or the object towards you are, your action is, engage. So this is kind of, because of the condition, they reach that kind of. And in some sutra, there's a dharma. Dharma here means realization emptiness or the cessation of afflictive emotions. Yeah, of course. Yeah. An extensive presentation of qualities, the attributes. This has three parts. Qualities that beautify the Bodhisattva's own mental continuum, the quality that outshine others' mental continuum, and the quality that comes to be superior on the first ground. So, quality that beautify the Bodhisattva's own mental continuum. So, that means it's referring to the direct realization emptiness. So, direct realization emptiness, that is the underpinned with the great compassions, right? So that is the so they beautify one's own knowledge and a quality that outshine others' mental continuums. So this is like, the quality that beautify the Bodhisattva's own mental continuum. This has two parts, describing the individual qualities separately and presenting the qualities together in the summary. Describing the individual qualities separately, the first one has three parts. So this so the quality of obtaining the mindful, meaningful title, right? So this is so kind of, it's beautifying one's own mental continuum. Means four qualities such as being born in the lineage. Number three, the qualities such as stepping on to the higher ground. Obtaining meaningful titles, so they are called so the ultimate Bodhisattvas. So the title of the Arya Bodhisattvas, ultimate Bodhisattvas. So before Bodhisattvas, the path of accumulations, preparations, and they're called Bodhisattvas. When they reach the path of seeing, starting from the path of seeing, ultimate Bodhisattvas, the title. So due to due to the qualities of the Bodhisattvas, Arya beings, the kind of direct realization emptiness. So So title from it. Meaningful title. 4 qualities, such as born in the lineage. So that means born in the lineage means from that on. So Bodhisattvas who start newly studying the wisdom that is totally absorbing in the emptiness. So, and then that makes the certainty of the attainment of Buddhahood. From that on is certain. Before there is a possible of there's obstacles. There's a possible of you may give up the Bodhisattvas, but the bodhicitta, or you may delay, or some kind of obstacles. You may there's some kind of the obscurations. So starting from when you reach the path of seeing, then there is so you have this is a certain to you, the certainty that is going to achieve, certainty to attain the Buddhahood. So that quality is obtained by the Bodhisattva when they reach path of seeing, the lineage. So then, stepping on to the high ground means from that on. So without putting much effort, so you will continuously go forward, right? Path of seeing to the path of meditation, to the Buddhahoods, and all this first movement, second movement, third movements. So without putting a lot of effort. So the quality of obtaining meaningful titles, and then the stanza says that from that point on, having attained this ground, he is held by the name of the Bodhisattvas alone. So from that on, he called the ultimate Bodhisattvas, ultimate Arya being. From that point on, the Bodhisattvas, having entered this first ground, has attained the ultimate awakening mind at this time when he has transcended the stage of ordinary person. So he's no longer ordinary. He is held by the name, the ultimate Bodhisattvas, ultimate Bodhisattva alone. He should no longer be referred to by characterizations not consonant with this title. For he is by then an Arya Bodhisattvas.
Is there any difference between Arya and ultimate noble?
Aryas, this is linguistically way of saying. In the old generation in India, in a royal family, so the wife referred to her husband as Arya, so something like a noble one. So this is the the term. And the Aryan. So sometime in India, there's a sometimes there, story, the drama. So the women who dance and sing very beautiful and on the stage, and everybody known her, and she influenced, right, many people, and then people call her as Aryan. So, so Arya is something like means noble. Now here the way we use the Arya is path of accumulation preparations are relatively ordinary, and the path of seeing in Arya, so it's kind of become the higher states, right? So when it comes to the term the Arya, when we use within the path, so this always referring to the noble Bodhisattvas or noble being of Sarvaka, noble being of Pratika Buddha, they're all called Arya, right? So then after the Arya and then Arhat, Arhat means the liberate being, right? So Arhat in Sanskrit. I think sometimes the Pali language they're a little bit kind of different way of saying Arahang. So or Sanskrit Arahang. So that's something like that. So Arahat. So that we in Tibetan we say Dajjamba. So Dajjamba means the four destroyer. The four destroyer, right? So one who subdue the four, means the four of afflictive emotions, the four of the stain of the afflictive emotions is totally destroyed and defeated. So that's called Arhat, the four destroyer. Right? The four destroyer, not with gun. It's wisdom. So yeah, in English, so far they translated a four destroyer is Arhat. So yeah, the commentary cites the Cloud of Jewels Sutra, where it states that someone on the great stage of supreme mundane dharma on the path of preparations. Supreme dharma on the path of preparations has not attained the ultimate bodhisattva's ground. So sometimes we call it this particular path of preparations. Within the path of preparations divided the four, right? The last kind of one that next moment they become the Arya being is called the peak of preparations, right? So preparations has not attained the Bodhisattva's ground. So from this we can understand that the title Bodhisattva is being designated here in the sense of specific meaning, the perfection of the wisdom in 25,000 line states. So this is sutra. So it says that how does one understand this? So sometimes you see the much difference when you read English and Tibetan. There's a big difference. So here, Shijin Yidong Chitar She Shenas. So how does one understand this? So that means there are a lot of conversations already have done, saying that Arya beings, the path of seeing of the Bodhisattvas, right? How does this, the Arya being, the Bodhisattvas, has gone beyond the ordinary? What is the condition that makes him the superior than the ordinary? What makes him Arya? What makes him Buddha? Noble being? So how do you know? So that's what is your explanations? So how does one understand this? So then the answer, regarding things have not yet come into being. So this, again, those who have not perfectly come into being and those that have ceased, they related to this not in a manner imputed childish ordinary beings, nor in the manner obtained by the childish ordinary beings. Therefore, they are called Bodhisattvas. So which means the Arya beings, starting from the path of seeings, their wisdom, when you compare with the wisdom realizing emptiness in path of preparations, wisdom realizing emptiness in the path of accumulations. So two ordinary Bodhisattvas, their wisdom, right? Regarding with the realization emptiness, and Bodhisattvas, the Arya beings. So the Bodhisattvas in the ordinary path, they have realization emptiness. They realized emptiness. So, but, right? So this, with this wisdom, so their mind is still, right? There's many, quite often when they engage an object, there is the grasping of self. And they also, when they understand emptiness, emptiness is through the mediations. It's not directly perceiving the emptiness. So intellectually, through imaginations, through kind of mediation, they understand emptiness. They are not really, their understanding emptiness is not really like milk with water. It's not to become inseparable. It's not directly observing in emptiness. So because of that, many times when they engage an object, so they tend to see things intrinsic in existence, right? They tend to see things are intrinsically arising, intrinsically ceasing, intrinsically, coming and going. So when you reach the path of seeing this Bodhisattvas, right, within this Bodhisattvas, within their mind of the Bodhisattvas, noble being, any part of the mind has not really perceived or conceived intrinsic existing, intrinsically arising, intrinsically coming and going and ceasing.
That mind is gone.
So that mind has gone. So now question is, they don't tend to kind of see things like ordinary, right? So now the question is, are they really are their mind is completely free from all the afflictive emotions? And then say, not yet, right? So so that's kind of so 25,000 lines states like this. How does one understand this? The question is, how can you understand from the path of seeing? This is much superior than ordinary bodhisattvas. So the regarding things have not yet come into beings. They don't see things when things arising. They don't see things intrinsically arising, right? Not perfectly come into being and have not ceased. They relate to this not in the manner of the imputed childish ordinary beings, nor in the manner of obtained childish ordinary beings. So the childish, what makes the childish? So I think I have mentioned that in a long time. There's I don't remember exactly there's 5 conditions in the mind-only school why ordinary people act childish. So there's the 5 reasons I think there. The one is, so we say, one reason is ordinary sentient beings, they feel comfortable, right? For example, they always see things, right? Something to detach, something to attach. So they that makes them feel safe, right? So there's some kind of the objective, favorable, unfavorable. So that makes them feel comfortable. And then why? Because when you're proving, when you say the favorable and the unfavorables, there's nothing from their own side. There's a favorable is not exist by their own essence, and they feel unsafe, insecure. So that's why. So their attitude is a childish state of mind, childish attitude. So out of that kind of mental state, and people, ordinary people, ordinary people start kind of tends to think that when they're blaming on something, right? When they praising someone extremely, so they think that's normal, right? So ordinary people feels is normal, right? Exaggeration is not made by me because he did something, she did something, right? So they don't see how their mind is exaggerating. They think exaggerations that impress you or surprise you is something already exists out there. Right? So these are the mental state that makes childish people, childish beings act childishly. So childish ordinary beings, and therefore they are called Bodhisattvas. This is why they are ultimate Bodhisattvas. What the above conveys indirectly, what is implying it, right, is that Bodhisattvas find the suchness of these phenomena. So what is implying is this the ultimate Bodhisattvas, when they seize the phenomena, kind of as it is. So noble beings, right? When they see the phenomena as it is, not with exaggerations, not with annihilations. So phenomena just in the manner found by the Aryas. Here too, the intended referent is the ultimate Bodhisattvas. So this is how this Bodhisattvas, the path of seeing in the meditations, they tend to see things, right? Nothing intrinsically existence. So that's why there are Arya beings, there are noble beings, right? So this sutra, the passage is not suggesting there are no genuine Bodhisattvas on the stage of ordinary beings. So shouldn't be interpreting that once we call the path of seeing and the path of meditations, so Arya beings are Bodhisattvas. That does not mean so Bodhisattvas, the path of accumulation and preparation are not Bodhisattvas. Right. The four qualities such being born in the lineage. So this the quality they beautify himself. He is born into the lineage of Tathagata as well. He has utterly purged the three binding factors. Such a Bodhisattva uphold the state of supreme joy and has the power to shake 100 walls. I hope there's no earthquake. So he is born into lineage. So that means this very wisdom of the Arya beings make him certain to attain the Buddhahood. So that's why lineage of the Tathagata as well. He is utterly the purge. It means he has, totally eliminates three binding factors. So such Bodhisattvas uphold the state of supreme joy. So they hold this wisdom. What brings in the Bodhisattvas is the great joy, or perfect joy, or tremendous joy, right? So that beautify himself. Right? This is the quality that beautified the Bodhisattvas, the Arya being themselves. So because of the perfect joy and the great compassion and the power of that, it can shake 100 walls. Furthermore, this Bodhisattvas who abides on the first ground, abides on the first ground because he has gone well beyond all the ground of ordinary person as well as those of Shavaka and the Pratika Buddhas. So, Pratika Buddha. And because the path that is certain to lead to the ground of the Buddhahood has arisen within his mental continuum. So that's why he is born in the lineage of the Tathagata. He is born into the lineage of Tathagata as well, no longer embarking on that, on the other path. Lama Tsongkapha means he cannot be distracted, right? He cannot be leave his path. So that, implying in the stage of ordinary, these are possible. Right? So his lineage is confirmed with his own path. Since on the first ground he directly perceived the selflessness of person, that the person lacks the intrinsic, lacks the existing by virtue of its own characteristic. He has utterly purged the three binding factors, three afflictive emotions. And what are those three? Yeah, the identity view. So kind of like, Jigta means identity of self, grasping an identity of the self. And the tendency, anusaya, to doubt, so kind of deluded doubt, right? Sometimes, deluded doubt, and the grasping at false view as supreme and at inferior, the discipline and the conduct as a superior. So 3 binding factor is like this, right? So superior. That is that they will no longer arises for him. So this, starting from the path of seeing, these 3 binding factors. So kundu jorva is binding. What is the binding? It binds you as an ordinary. So, right, the grasping yourself imputedly, right, the imputing on the intrinsic self, that binds you, right, that makes you, or that kind of makes you ordinary. So what binds you as an ordinary is all abandoned, and the doubting on the possibility of the liberations, right? And then kind of supremacy on your conduct. So these all abandoned, or these all eliminated on the state of the path of seeing. So it arises from him, and this indicates that their seed have been relinquished, and the identity view referred to here is the acquired kind, which is an object of elimination on the path of seeing, not the innate one. So that's what we call imputing, right? So the tendency to imputing the existence of self, right? So this, once you abandon and you have no tendency to imposing or superimposing any the concrete self, intrinsic self, right? So when you have the tendency to superimpose on the intrinsic self, so that is the condition. What this is the one of the conditions that makes you ordinary. So the Bodhisattvas, Arya beings, and they abandon that. Because of abandoning that, and they have no doubt, right, about possibility of the liberations. So that means Bodhisattva, ordinary beings, and so even the so they are already on the path. They are Bodhisattvas. They are path on the Mahayana. So in their mind, they haven't relinquished the ambiguity and the possibility of the liberations. They haven't eliminated the superimposing of the intrinsic self. Right. Yeah, the tendency that object elimination is path of seeing, not the innate one. One might ask, given that he has rid himself of other negative tendency as well, right? Tendency that are object of elimination by the path of seeing. Why are only these 3 mentioned? So why because the ordinary Bodhisattvas, when they reach the Arya state, and they have abandoned many negative emotions, negative things. So why you select 3? So then there's this, 3 appear to be 2 points on the interpretation of the innate of this statement from the sutra. Of these two, the better one is the one presented in the Treasury Abhidhamma, where it says, so the first, the superimposing on the I is like a not wanting to go. And supremacy on the will with kind of, supremacy on the conduct, right, are kind of like wrong path. The harboring doubt about the path. So the doubting on the possible liberation is doubting on your path. These obstruct the journey to liberations. Therefore, these three are stated. So, for example, if you want to go, when you want to go to airport, right? First, you make sure, without your desire to go, if you don't want to go, so that is one of the obstacles to reach the airport, right? Second, and you lost in the directions. That is the wrong path. If you go on the wrong path, then you cannot get to the airport. And the third, and you are not sure about, you are not certain about the path, the kind of the freeway that you are driving, right? So these are the three obstacles, right? So these three obstacles has to be abandoned. So the superimposing on the self, the tendency to superimposing on the self is like not wanting to go, because when you have a tendency to superimpose on the self, and so you don't really kind of, first thing is you are lacking the right path to liberations. The right path to liberation is wisdom realizing emptiness. So it is the opposite. You are superimposing, right? So that's like not wanting to go. And then the wrong path means now supremacy on the will, and you kind of you like kind of the way you view things, right? And you think this is the sometimes you think is natural or normal, or this is the right way, right? So that again blocks the liberation, right? And then with that, the supremacy on your conduct. So with your view, and you will react, and your reaction, your attitude, or behave, and you think this is the right way. So that's the kind of wrong path, right? And then the doubting, right? Because once your mind is superimposing on the self, there's a strong tendency to superimpose on the self, and you haven't have understands the liberation, because liberation means the free from afflictive emotion, free from misconception. So free from misconception only you can see when you generate when you see things as it is, when you stop superimposing, right? For someone who wish to travel to another place, for example, there are three main obstacles: not wanting to go, choosing the wrong road, and harboring doubts about one's road. The journey to liberations. Similarly, has three principal obstacles. Due to the first identity view, one comes to fear the liberation and does not want to travel there. Because so you have created your own comfort zone. Like in the winter and in the comfort. You don't want to get up. So if you don't get up, you can't have breakfast. So don't want to travel there. Due to the third, the grasping at false view and false morality as superior, one relies on the contrary, the path, and choose the wrong path. Due to the second, the afflicted doubt, one harbors the doubt about one's path. So therefore, these three were listed. So this Bodhisattva was on the first ground, having entered the confirmed lineage as described above, obtain the qualities that result from this and become free from the faults that are eliminated by this ground. As such, unique joy arises within him. So, and because he experienced abundance of the perfect joy, such a Bodhisattva uphold the state that constitute the supreme joy, possessing the extraordinary perfect joy. This ground is known also as a perfect joy. On this ground, he has power to shake 100 different walls. So this has mentioned the four qualities. One, born into the lineage of the Tathagata, and overcoming the three binding factors. So upholding the supreme joy, right? So this, and then power to shake 100 walls. It's the four quality that beautifies the Bodhisattva's Arya being. So that means it's unique quality for themselves. The qualities such as stepping on to the higher ground. So now this is the another one. They're stepping on the one ground to another. Stepping on from one ground to another, he traveled perfectly to the higher one. At that point, the path to all lower realms are blocked for him. At that point, all the grounds of ordinary person ceased for him. So the Arya state of Arya beings, Bodhisattva state of Arya beings, because of the accumulations of merit and their wisdom, the steadiness of their wisdom. So without putting much effort, they will continue to go from one state to another state. Right? And then, so they have, because they have eliminated the three binding factors, that has totally blocked the gateway to lower realm. So no, how do I say? They have abandoned the seed for born into lower realm, right? So at this point, yeah, the lower realms, and then all the grounds of ordinary person has ceased. So there is no any characteristic to define himself as ordinary. So all these are ceased for him. Rejoicing greatly and stepping on from the first ground to the second ground, the Bodhisattvas travel perfectly to the higher ground. When the first ground is attained, at that point, for this Bodhisattvas, the path to all the lower realms are blocked or have come to an end. So then the question is, one might ask, after attaining the peak stage of the path of preparations, isn't it impossible for someone to fall to the lower realm due to karma? If so, why is the ending of the path to the lower realms contingent, right? Contingent upon attaining the first ground. So the first ground has praise like, qualities, has blocked the kind of, the falling into lower realm, right? So, and also the path of preparations, from the beginning of the path of preparations, so Bodhisattvas in the path of preparations, so the first preparations are called like, say, these Bodhisattvas will not go to lower realm path of preparations. Now, what is the difference? Path of preparations, Bodhisattva and the path of preparation also not, for sure, they are not going to fall into the lower realm. And what is this kind of, what is significant, the difference and the path of seeing? Because the path of preparation also not going to lower realm. And what is the unique quality in the path of seeing to say he has blocked lower realm? So this is what I said. One, path of preparations, Bodhisattvas, although they are ordinary Bodhisattvas, because of their greatly understanding or revealing the emptiness and their power of the bodhicitta and compassion. So that, because of these two kind of, keeping them from falling into lower realm. So lower realms is, so the text, there's kind of, in the Buddha's teaching, so falling into lower realm, like the animal, hungry ghosts, the hell realm, it seems they're saying, so it's not just simply kind of, you are not falling into lower realm by non-virtuous actions. Like tigers, they eat the deers, and right. So are these the negative actions they could lead them to the lower realms? It seems not like that. So the falling into lower realms is not that has not defined by the action, is your mind. So your mind is kind of actively the kind of superimposing the self, and for that self, and you are angry for that self, you are so fixated, and out of this kind of emotionals, when you act the non-virtuous actions, so that's become the cause for falling into lower realm, not by kind of killing and stealing. not by eating chicken curry, so you don't you won't fall in the lower realm. So this is why lower realms, like there says, Pungam Geje, the lower realms beings, Pungbo means aggregates, Kam means there's a constituents, the element, and Geche means there are faculties, right? All kind of, the result of those imputedly kind of, I think, I would say, like, maybe it's easier, the superimposing on the self, right? So superimposition on the self being target, used as a target to fixate and to detach, to hate that, right? So these, as a result of that, the constituents of the elements in the lower realms being, and the faculties in the lower realms being, the realm of the lower realms, are all exactly the result of that kind of, these afflictive emotions, this particular afflictive emotions. So, like, sea lions, the whole life they eat fishes, live fish, right? They're killing. The tigers, every day they kill animals, other animals to eat. So this is kind of like their way of their life. This is also a result of this, how's that, identity of the view, the grasping at superimposing on the self, and so much can, attracted or attached to this superimposition of I, and out of that negative emotions. And yeah, so and then the what we call supermission and their morality or their conduct, and then so these are the conditions, the inner conditions, the outer condition like the physical and the verbals, right? So that propelled the individual in the lower realms. So the reply here, the fact that it's impossible to go to the lower realm after attaining the peak stage. Peak stage is not because the seed has the fact that it's impossible to go to the lower realms, the path of preparation stage, after attaining the peak stage is not because the seed that lead to the lower realm have been destroyed by their antidote, not because they have eliminated the seed. Rather, it is because no adequate condition can converge into more, converge anymore, right? So because they cannot really, there's no space for, this, because of their mind is, I'm talking about the Bodhisattvas on the path of accumulation preparations, because their mind is more overpowered by the compassion, bodhicitta, realization, emptiness. So almost there's no space. There's no there's no room for generating, superimposing on the self and viewing the supremacy of their conduct. So no condition. So there's no enough condition. There's no chances for developing those conditions to propel into the lower realm.
seed is still there.
Seed is still there, yeah. So, and the Vasubandhu's text, and it says, Arya beings, like Hinayana Arya beings, right? Hinayana, Sharvakas Arya being, Pradika Buddha, and the Bodhisattvas, when they reach the first noble stage, so they have abandoned the seed of falling into lower realm, right? So then these are due to the superimposing on the self. So when you reach the noble being, noble wisdom, and it is not possible for them to superimpose on the self. So that makes them kind of totally free from the falling into lower realm. And then so these you're talking about the superimposing, not the innate afflictive emotions. They have innate grasping a self. So the innate grasping is out of the innate grasping of self, and these all the kind of the innate the actions, negative actions, all drive from like stealing and harsh word and spite and belligerence. So all can be derived from that innate desire, the grasping of self. So the question is it possible the Arya being, right, the Arya being, noble being, can engage in stealing and harsh words like that? And then Vasubandhu says, these are, because this is not possible you can find in the noble beings. So this is like, if someone, right? So, for example, if one who has break the hips, right? If you beat on his hips and destroy it breaks the hips, so that kind of disabled the individual. So once the disabling individual, although he has the habit of stealing, he won't steal, right? So it's similar, and Arya beings, because they have abandoned this superimpositional kind of, the factors, right? So, those the so that those kind of those the physical kind of non-virtuous actions could not really arise in their mind. There was no desire to steal and no desire to spite and belligerence. So eliminate the path of seeing. When the Bodhisattva attained the first ground, the sage ordinary person has ceased for him. Presenting the quality together in the summary, he is described clearly in the term akin to the 8 Aryas. In brief, the 8 Arya beings, 8 Arya being, 8 counting from top down, and the 4 abiding in the fruit, and the 4 entering the fruit, has entered the first fruit of stream entry, because he has attained the attributes of an Arya and enjoy the qualities of the abandonment and the realizations of commensurate. What is that? Commensurate, yeah. realization commensurate with his stage. Yeah, I forgot the meaning of that, commensurate. So, Bhagavad he has described early in the term akin to the Arya beings. So when they say in this Chandrakirti's root text, and they're referring that Arya beings, the path of seeing, the Bhumi, and he refer like, how say, this is kind of an example of when you count the Hinayana path, right? So counting from Arhat is number one, and path of normal, returning, and number two, and then First, I'll go again. The Arhat is the one, and then entering in the Arhat is the second, and then the second fruit, no more returning the state, and then entering to the no more returning state, right? And then the sixth, right? The four, and then once return, the fruit of the fruition of one's return state of Arya being, and entering into one's return, and the stream of entry and their entries, right? So then this is called the Bhagavad, the eighth. So I think, the main point is like entering in the first stream entry is the considered the noble being, right? First kind of state of realization or direct realization emptiness. So at that time, you have you have passed the ordinary path, and you have abandoned the seed of falling to lower realm, right? So similar to Bodhisattvas, when first noble beings, the wisdom, and that also past the ordinary beings, and then seed of the lower realm has abandoned or eliminated, right? So the quality, the outshine others mental continuum. This has three parts. How on this ground, Sharvaka and the Pratyeka Buddha are outshined by means of Bodhisattva's lineage. How on the seventh ground, the Sharvaka and the Pratyeka Buddha are outshined by means of Bodhisattva's intelligence. Concluding the implication of these statements. So this is kind of, outshine. I think it's, concluding the implication of the statement. How on this ground the Sharvaka and the Pratyeka Buddha are outshunned by means of the Bodhisattva's lineage. Even when abiding on the first ground of the mind for full awakening, he surpassed those born from stage, right? Born from stage speech on the Pratyeka Buddha. sage speech, and the sage speech is a Sharvaka, right? Born from the sage's speech is a Sharvaka, and Bhartika Buddha, through the power of his merit, and his merit increases evermore. So this outshine means due to Bodhisattvas, there's a kind of two ways to outshine the kind of Sharvaka and Pradika Buddha. One is through their accumulation of merit, one the intelligence, right? So right now, the first ground and second ground and the fourth ground and fifth ground and sixth ground, right? Sixth ground. So the way they outshine from the Sharvaka and Pradika Buddha is accumulation of merit. So it's not due to their intelligence. So they all have the same kind of similar the quality of the realization of emptiness. So from the seventh, then not only outshine through their accumulation of merit, their intelligence is much greater. Right? So let alone on the second and subsequent ground of the mind for full awakening, even when abiding on the first ground through the power of his merit of conventional awakening mind and compassion, he surpassed that is to say, the outshine Sharvaka and who are born from the sage's speech and the Pradika Buddha, and his merit increases evermore, unlike those two born from the sage's speech, Sharvaka and the Pradika Buddha. And this then is another distinctive quality of the Bodhisattvas, beyond the quality mentioned above. In relation to this, the liberation story of Maitreya Sutra stage. The child of the lineage, it is like this. The son of the king born not long ago bears the name of royalty. And because of the greatness of his family lineage, he outshined the entire assembly of senior and chief minister at court. Likewise, the Bodhisattvas on the beginning stage, so ultimate Bodhisattvas in the beginning stage, who has generated awakening, the ultimate awakening mind. Not so long ago, he has been born into the lineage of sovereign of Dharma. Lineage of, right? Sovereign, of Dharma. The Tathagatas, because of his awakening mind and compassion, he outshined the Sharvaka and the Pradika Buddha, have practiced pure conduct over a long time. So I think mainly they say because of their power of the six perfections and the great compassions, the bodhicittas, that makes him superior than the Sharvaka and the Pradika Buddhas, right? So child of the lineage, it is like this: the newborn offspring of a Garuda, the king of the bird, has quality, the strength of the wing, total clarity of the vision, and so on. From the childhood. that do not exist in a manner, in a mature bird of all other breeds. Likewise, the Bodhisattva who has generated the first ground of the awakening mind and has thus perfectly, penetrated the ongoing lineage of the great Garuda, like Tathagata, has quality, the power of wings, and his generation of awakening mind, aspiring for omniscient state, a power eclipsing others like wing of the Garuda of offspring, and the clarity of his vision of the utterly pure altruistic intentions that do not exist in Sharvaka and Pratika Buddha. Sharvakas, or all the Pratika Buddhas that have definitely shunned, right? Shunned, right?
Yeah.
Right? Cyclic existing for 100 or for 1,000 years. So mainly that's the kind of, just because they are all equally noble beings, Arya, Sharvaka, Arhat, Arya beings, Pratika Buddha, Arya beings, Bodhisattvas, Arya beings. They're all noble beings. And when it comes to the way they kind of directly meditating emptiness, they have almost the same quality. But what makes them superior than, what makes the Bodhisattvas, noble beings, superior than the Arya beings on the Sharvaka and the Pratika Buddha, is because of their accumulation of merit. So they are confident, they are confirmed in attaining the Buddhahood. There's certainty in the path. So this is like, offspring of the king of Garuda. So from the birth, he possessed this quality, the vision, the strength of the wing. Right. Yeah. More questions? Too much to say.
Well, I did have one question.
Uh-huh.
So for the three binding factors, it's almost like once those have been abandoned, that's almost like we can think of it as like the bare minimum, in a sense, to the moving on to the rest of the path. Because once that's gone, there's no returning, like no going to the lower realms.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is kind of completely and totally blocked the gateway to the lower realm. Because, this is like, by burning the tomato seed, so and making sure that from this seed not going to give any sprout.
But that doesn't mean, I guess the afflictive emotion, because you said Arya beings can still have afflictive emotions. I guess that's confusing a little.
Yeah, I think this is really kind of, it's hard to explain that. This is kind of in the indicating that even the grasping itself is afflictive emotions that is still within the Arya being's mind. The grasping itself, right? Misconceptions still there. Misconceptions. Now, and they are dividing within the misconceptions, the two, the grasping itself as two. One is Kunta means overly superimposing on this in the solid existing of I. One is just normal, kind of ordinary way to, like, for example, I go there, I'm going to eat, I'm going to sleep. This is like not overly superimposing on I. This is like very normal. So when we, this is what we see in the politicians in different India and everywhere in the country. So those politicians trigger something, right? So all the neighbors get angry and fight. So they know if you kind of press the button, some button, so then they exaggerate, right? So in ours, like that kind of superimposing on the self, not just simply kind of wrongly perceiving I, as overly superimposing. So this is called, and the term that we use in Tibetan is kunta. So we call kunta. Kunta means kind of like imputing, or it's like a superimposing, right? So it's not like the grasping of self is just simply engaging or apprehending the independent self or intrinsic self, right? So, for example, we all have this kind of me and me, right? Oh, I go there, I'm going to do this. He said that. So then we sometimes, we say, this is our nations, this is our religions, this is our families. So in order for in order for the kind of getting ready to kind of show how much you hate others, and for that, and you superimpose on my and me and mine, right? So that's called the imputing or superimposing on the self. Yeah, it's in the linguistic, what they only use is impute. And then sometimes intellectual people, ordinary people, right? Ordinary people, intellectual people. Ordinary people, intellectual, is when they the way the mind see, the way the mind view itself, is still their mistake, is the wrong perceptions, right? Misconceptions there. But intellectual says, and again superimpose, the intellectual says, when I think I born in this life, I was in previous life, I will be in next life. Or there is me that never dies. There is me that kind of exists permanently. It's a part of me, right? So the kind of kind of philosophically or kind of intellectually kind of exaggerating, right? Exaggerating the existing of the self or I. So these are superimpositions. So this kind of seed, this kind of habit or tendency, and without overcoming totally, and you cannot be attain noble state. So that's Rukunda. So the lower realms, they're kind of the structure of the elements in their body and the faculties and their ram are all result of these superimpositions. Kundas, they call. So lower ram only kind of this, the overcoming the seed of the lower ram is direct realization emptiness. Other than that, there is no any antidote can kind of block the lower ram. Yeah, still kind of, yes, yeah. This is what we can say. So a lot of debate, yeah, it's kind of, debatable. Every lower realms, like every animals, has kind of, preceded this kind of condition. Is it for sure? So now you're here saying the seed of superimpositions. So that means everybody has the kind of a seed of that, tendency of that. Right? So like, in India, there's a village that people live very normal life, all the years, very normal, very kind of friendly, social. And then before the elections, so those elections comes, so they talk about a Muslim and Hindu, they talk about the lineages, where they come from. So then people see the difference, and they kind of for I think for a short period of time, they get really emotional, right? And then elections, the results comes. Then all people go to normal. So that we have this kind of tendency. The seed is there already, but only you need distorted informations to trigger that. So these are called kunda, yeah. So tendency for superimposition, superimposing on any kind of phenomena, any kind of like we or I or me or mine. So this is the kind of seed. As long as this kind of tendencies is remained within the mind, there's always chances to falling into lower realm. So, yeah. So with this kind of reason, and kind of like, politicians for sure, they will go to lower realm. So,
Are they the best superimposers?
Yeah.
This is very strange. And when you live in India, it's like the whole year is very normal, it's very comfortable, and just kind of 1 month before the starting elections. So it's very strange, yeah. All the traffic's blocked and the roads are blocked and people just kind of, throwing stone at the store, the buildings. And then when the results complete and the election's done and those mayor or the senators is done, and then the next day is just normal. So these are, the condition that can, these are the condition that is making sure you can always open the gateway to lower realm. Yeah, so far the language we use is in Tibetan terms, kunda. So still in the English translation of the book, they couldn't really figure out what to say. So they only says the kind of identity, the view that only being able to abandon or eliminate by the path of seeing. This is what they can use. So the tiger that eats, it kills animals, not because of this is our enemy. They don't see their enemy, or they don't see it will harm, right? So because of my relative, he done something. No, because they're hungry, they will eat. So it's like, taking other life, kind of taking other life is not the kind of exact cause for following the Lord. So what motivates you to take others' life? Yes. The cause of ending life. When you trace the cause of ending life, what makes you die? So then it says, oh, milk, butter, honey, rice, flour. So, like sometimes the medicines, the drugs, medicines, like that. And so, what makes you end life? So these are all conditioned that, yeah. And wrinkles and gray hairs are all conditioned too. But this is not really kind of, these are not conditioned. That is the, how's that? The cause of the death, but it's not intent to take life. So it's like the tiger and the elephant, like tiger like that. Right? So Kunda, yeah, this which is Denzin Kunda. So this superimposing tendency or the habit or the seed that superimposing on the self, right? And kind of unknown or doubting, not sure about liberations, uncertain, yeah, not sure about the liberations, possibility liberations. And then, how's that? Supremacy, the view on your conduct, your behavior, attitude, right? So these are conditions that always can be lead you to the lower realm. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah. Chanju semjo remoje, majepa na geji, keba nyamba mewanya, kone kondo pebres. Tonya dawa remoje, majepa na geji, keba nyamba mewanya, kone kondo pebres. Pama semjen tamje, dedan denju, nyendo tamje tatu tonga. Chanju semba kanda sujube, teda gunji, mono dribjuruji. Kare rabe kobe shingazo, pendan dewa mangwe juwe. Jere zangwa, tinzen jazo yi shabe, side badu denjuruji.
May the precious body mind not yet on horizon. May the kingdom not that increase forever. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet on horizon. May the kingdom not decline but increase forever. Due to all these merits, may all fallen and essential beings have all happiness. May all lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are Bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benevolent happiness. Powerful Trinity and Jats, remain in this world until samsara.
Thank you much. Thank you.